the Great Reset. Now, we all know that this community started studying the ancient structures and led them down the road of Tartaria or whatever you prescribe to. It's very clear that there's a lot of stuff still remaining in this realm that we didn't build. It was left here for us or stolen by us or we inherited or they inherited or however you want to look at it. This community has uncovered a lot of hints, clues, evidence, truths that point to what we began to call a reset. 150 years ago, back in that time period, and I'm being approximate, I'm not a reset researcher, so to speak. Always appreciate guys like John Levy and Martin Liedtke, if I'm saying those names right, I hope, and Jen, Truth Seeker 69, and smaller channels that are jumping on board with that line of research, like Boston Ray, Mud Flood Adventures. Shout out to Boston Ray, another small channel like myself, and newer channel, doing a lot of work, doing some activism out there in the street. A little shout out to my peoples this morning. Yeah, check out David Menny's channel. He reminded me of the Great Reset. Absolutely, that's a stolen term from us. And what does that do? It removes all the power from what we're saying, right? And people starting to hear us mumble as the truthers, the crazy conspiracy people. Well, hey, we've uncovered a lot of evidence that shows that there was something that we're calling right now the reset. It looks like just the old ways went away and we started over. And the truth community named that the reset. Of course, that's how, as it was presented to most of us who didn't do that ourselves or come up with that, was presented to us as a reset. Well, what happens 3 years later, 4 years later? Charles Schwab, time for a great reset. Yeah, does he mean what we're talking about? Of course not. But if anybody was latching on to what we were saying and listening, they're like, oh, yeah, the resets do happen. Well, obviously, it's time for a financial reset. And, you get where I'm going with this. They stole the term and inverted it, use it for their, because all the Great Reset means is tyranny's coming. Here comes the NWO, right? So thank you, Samoan Watchman, David Menny. I appreciate that. That was a great one. The Great Reset, another stolen term by the mainstream, by the system that controls the mainstream puppets. Stolen from us, removed of its meaning, given a new meaning, redefined, and used as propaganda. The Great Reset, folks. Thank you, David. Appreciate you. Great dude, too. Check out his channel. I'm going to leave a link. Might not come out right away with the premiere. I'm kind of new at this tech. And after the video goes live and plays the first time, then I can go and I can put a link to David's channel in the comments. So look for that in the comments once the video is up on my channel after the premiere. Yeah, so I told you today I want to ramble about... we're not going to discuss a bunch of crazy science, folks. This is the Lucky Haskins a moment of truth show. Y'all know better than that. I'm not about to pull out a bunch of slides and walk you down the history of NASA or anything like that. But a couple videos back, I talked about how science has now conceded and admitted that no curvature can be viewed from 120,000 feet. And of course, they were forced to admit that because it was continuously affirmed by the pro-science movement, individual scientists, individual experimentation with balloons and rockets and cameras. So science came out and admitted, finally, it was a difficult one for them, and they admitted it in a very, very deceptive manner. So the normies didn't even notice because the normies don't understand very much about their fictitious globe fantasy. They just know that Rudolph's nose lights the way, and they know it works because of science and theoretical physics. They don't understand what they believe in, so it's kind of not their fault. So when science came out and said, you can't see curvature of the Earth from 120,000 feet, that stuff is flat, the normies don't even understand what just happened. They don't even notice anything's different, or that science has once again moved the goalposts, changed their story. But, right? Science is true whether you believe it or not, but we're changing it again tomorrow. The crap, the garbage that the globe Earth believers have ingested at this point in the game is so beyond ridiculous. And what's even more ridiculous is they have no idea. Most normies or globies would still tell you to this day you can see the curvature of the Earth from a jet or from a fighter jet. If they're educated enough to know you can't see it from a commercial airline, they're just going to go, yeah, but them fighter jets, they see the curvature of the Earth all the time. Well, no, they don't, folks. Not only did the pro-science movement that you guys like to call flat earthers or morons or idiots or whatever term you give to the pro-science movement, demonstrated clearly that you can't see curvature from anywhere you can get to, or we can send a rocket to, or a balloon to. So science had to concede, and they came out and said, yes, essentially, they said, the flat earth community is correct. You cannot see curvature even from 120,000 feet. So as I tell you guys, I don't do a lot of research anymore on things like that. You know, once you've seen enough BS, you don't have to keep pounding your head researching this stuff. You know what you're going to find. So this morning I decide I'm going to talk about the globe nonsense a little bit, the fairy tale that is the globe Earth, that people have been so ridiculously indoctrinated into not being able to let go of. So I was thinking about that because I said something a couple videos back that what it means that science said you can't see curvature from 120,000 feet. What they're saying there is none of y'all are ever going to see curvature ever. Nobody can see curvature except for us, because we have the Jesuit patch and we can go to space. So you have to believe us that we've seen the curvature and we can confirm it. And that's enough now for the normie. Now that science has admitted that nobody's ever going to see any curvature. No normal human being's ever going to see the curvature of the Earth. However, if you've taken the Jesuit oath and you wear the patch and you're willing to lie your ass off to humanity, and it actually has nothing to do with willingness. Even I was making a joke there, folks, but once you take that oath, you have no choice. All you have to do is go read the Jesuit oath. And don't be fooled by these. You'll get these Wikipedia saying, oh, well, they've modernized it. Don't be fooled by that, folks. Find the original Jesuit oath, and it's the one they still take. And it's, of course, Wikipedia has to soften it down a little bit. All these folks have taken that oath. And, you know, I'm not going there, folks. I'm not going into the secret societies and the lodges and all of this. And obviously, we know there's a higher power at play here, folks, but we know all this. We're not going to beat ourselves up. 120,000 feet. No human being's ever going to see curvature. So now they're over that one, right? They started scrambling when the pro-science movement is saying, hey, man, you can't see curvature from anywhere. And the normies are going, you guys are idiots. It's measurable. Well, that's funny because we've been trying to measure it. You can't measure it. And science was like, no, you can't really measure it. And now you can't see it. You can't see it. You can't measure it. You just have to believe us. Yeah, okay, well, 120,000 feet, let's talk about that. That means nobody, now science is off the hook. Nobody ever gets to say They can or can't see the curvature of the earth. We all have been told we're never going to see it. You ain't going above 120,000 feet, folks. It ain't going to happen. So what does Lucky do this morning? Well, a little old-fashioned research. Is one of the first things you find out about research when you're researching stuff that's extremely nonsensical, like the globe, is the bullshit is glaringly obvious. You don't have to spend a day, folks. It took me about a minute and a half to research this one. I just simply went to Google and typed in highest altitude flight. And of course, you know, this is Google. Of course, you're going to get the garbage, right? Well, first I'll tell you that I did a couple more minutes of research before I tell you how funny the first result is. And basically what you're going to find out what everybody in this community already knows, right? Commercial flights fly about 35,000 feet. Some of them will go 40,000 if they're on a long flight. Almost any solid information or that appears solid and seems realistic. Fighter jets usually seem to fly around 55,000 feet. Reports up to 65,000, a couple of cases of 70, 72, 73. That's the general vicinity of these fighter jets. And when you start talking about 70,000 feet, 73,000 feet, that's supposedly, folks, supposedly. Again, we're getting into the realm where you and I aren't going to get to test this out. They're not going to put you in an F-16 and let you fly at 75,000 feet. And I'm willing to bet if you take a cruise in an F-16, because there probably is a way that you can go hire somebody or pay somebody to take you up in one of these fighter jets. And I'm willing to bet that you're not going to go higher than 65,000 feet. That's just lucky where Lucky put his money. In fact, I'd be willing to bet, I'd even put a little more money down and double down. And I'd be willing to bet if they're taking a tourist up in one of those, you're probably not going to go above 55,000, 58,000 feet. Just a hunch, you know. Lucky's not an expert on these kind of things. I just try to sort through the bullshit. You don't find a lot of cases of them saying they're flying at 70,000 feet. But I do believe that's possible and done, 75,000 feet. However, let's go back to my Google search. Now, keep in mind what we're talking about right here, these 70,000 feet, 75,000 feet. We're talking about modern fighter jets, at least according to a couple of minutes on the internet. I'm not telling you to hang your hat on this, folks. It's very possible in 2022 the military's flying at 90,000 feet. I don't know. I'm just telling you the basic general principles of where the claims are, right? Most fighter jets, you start looking into a little piece on a fighter jet, somewhere between 55 and 65,000 feet is the normal number you should expect to hear, which is pretty freaking high. So, back to my search. Highest flight ever recorded. In 1963, NASA's chief test pilot flew the X-ship number 2 at 354,000 feet in altitude, making this the highest flight ever. That's over 50 miles. That's almost 60 miles in the air, folks. 1963. Now, to a normie that's going to find that, they're just going to go, look, see? NASA's been 354,000 feet all the way back in 1963. Well, for a guy like me, it almost made me fall out of my chair, folks. Let's just take a look at that claim. NASA was founded in 1958. Their job? To fake the globe. To finally give the populace some proof of the globe. We know the job of the space agency, folks. They are a propaganda agency. NASA is an offshoot of Hollywood. We know this. They were founded in 1958 to propagate the new deception, the great delusion, so that they could move us along with all of these narratives that, overpopulation, climate change, germ theory, invert abundance into lack thereof. We're running out of stuff, folks. We're ruining the earth. We're wrecking the whole ball. Yeah, we're wrecking the ball, all right, because it's nonsense. So let's take a look at that claim. And you can't make this stuff up, folks. I mean, it took me 15 seconds, not even. I just Google search highest altitude flight, the first thing that comes up. Yeah, gee, should I be surprised that it's NASA that has the first highest altitude flight in 1963 and the record still holds? Boy, that sounds a whole lot like moon landing bullshit to me. But what does old Lucky know? 60 miles in the air NASA was in 1963, when a calculator, if you could get one, would cost you a couple grand. I'm sorry, folks. They were founded in 1958. So as you can see, by 1963, they had proof it was a globe because they done saw it. Because they went 354,000 feet in the air in 1963 in the X-ship #2. I'm sure I didn't have to research any further than that, folks. Like I said, I couldn't stay in my frickin' chair. But I'm sure that they've kept all the records and they have outstanding video and lots of concrete proof of this 60-mile into space flight in 1963. So there you go, folks. That's how hard it is to be a good researcher in today's day and world. Now that we live in idiocracy, that's the kind of stuff that's all they have to tell the normie. Oh, well, NASA went 60 miles in 1963. You guys are idiots. Bunch of idiots. The globe and its nonsense. The fairy tale. 120,000 feet. That stuff is flat. Absolutely ridiculous, folks. At this point, if you still believe in the globe, I would have to say that I mean, what is it at this point? Obviously you haven't, people still aren't looking into it, but I mean, is the ego that powerful? You don't want to be laughed at like old Lucky? You don't want the neighbors laughing at you? Because you know the earth's not a globe? I don't mind them laughing at me, folks. You know, nothing wrong with being right. I'm still mad at you, Kobe. I'm mad at Kobe. I'm not going to tell you why. He's going to try to suck up. This dog, when he's in trouble, boy, I already told y'all he understands fluent English. Did you do something bad? Did you do something bad? Oh. What? Huh? Did you do something bad? Look at this suck up. Were you bad? Were you a bad dog? Huh? Were you a bad dog? It's hard to stay mad at your dog, folks. Nope, you're in trouble. I'm not even going to pet you. You're bad. You were bad. Very bad. Daddy's mad. Daddy's mad at you. You're a bad dog. Very bad. Look at them sad eyes. Oh. Okay. The globe earth nonsense. You know, I had quite a few things I wanted to say, and my dog, get down. You were bad. I can't give you too much loving. He distracted me. The globe earth and its nonsense. Anyway, folks, obviously there's so many things that, point to the simple truth. The earth is flat and motionless. The pro-science movement has put quite a ding in the old globe, if you ask me. A lot of people don't see it that way. A lot of people, even in the truth community, don't see it that way. I do. I see the literally huge concessions by the scientific fakery community, the huge concessions that they have made. To me, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson making that announcement, and he is the master of deception. Like I said, he was able to say that without one single glober even realizing that he drastically changed the scientific story. Because prior to Neil deGrasse Tyson saying that, they were showing us, folks, not just saying that it existed, they were showing us, they were showing the populace on the television curvature at 70,000 feet. And of course, we know the trick, they're using fisheye lenses, but they were telling, showing and telling the populace that here's the curvature of the earth. You can see it clearly from 70,000 feet. Now, those are the same folks. This is what the normie can't wrap their head around. They think this stuff is organic and not controlled. They think when they see their newsman on TV that he's got the scoop. He's a journalist. He's not a journalist. He's an actor reading a teleprompter. Okay? He doesn't have the scoop. He doesn't know shit about the scoop. Nor does he care about the scoop. My goodness, folks. So when Neil deGrasse Tyson came out and made that major scientific announcement, because his audience is so mentally incapable of wrapping their heads around the psychology behind the deception and the types of deception and mockery that Neil deGrasse Tyson uses on a daily basis, which is why he's such a popular actor for the propaganda network, because he is a master of deception. People fall for every single little trick they used with him. Every little trick. Who he is, what he represents, what he stands for. How they make him kind of be a nerd, right? You hear all the girls, oh, he's such a nerd. He's so cute. They make him kind of be a nerd. They make him kind of be cool. He's the first cool scientist, right? But he's a nerd. He wears ties with globe earths on them and stuff, right? What a masterful piece of deception Neil deGrasse Tyson is. I mean, that is propaganda mastery, folks. It's brilliant. You got to hand it to him on that level, even though most of his nonsense was probably fed to him. He is a master of deception, a master of doublespeak, using mockery and ridicule that his audience is not even intelligent enough to spot. In fact, they love the ridicule and mockery because it's used to confirm their position. Which, what is their position? That I'm too afraid to look at the ball earth because I don't want to be laughed at like my brother, the crazy conspiracy theorist. I don't mind being laughed at. It's fun to be the underdog anyway. You know, I was an independent musician for almost all my life. You want to talk about being an underdog? Go try to play music for a living, folks. A lot of success I had in life, and people would ask me, you know, man, why were you so successful at that? And I said, well, I played music for a living. That's the hardest thing anyone could ever do. If you can be successful playing music for a living, everything else seems really easy. And that's just some truth, man. Everything else starts to seem really easy, you know? It really does. Go try to make a living with your guitar, folks. Tell me digging ditches ain't easy. It's a lot easier. Roofing is a lot easier because you can get the jobs. So yes, to all you young people that want to be a musician for a living, good luck. Try something else. That's what I always tell people. Do something different. Dig ditches. You get to go home and have dinner with your family when you're done with the ditch. Jump in the shower, go have dinner with your family. 120,000 feet, nobody gets to see curvature. Neil deGrasse Tyson came out and made one of the largest changes in modern cosmology without his people even noticing that anything changed. He made it sound like that's just an ongoing fact. Everybody knows this. He just said, you cannot see curvature of the earth if you're 2 millimeters above this beach ball. which he had just stated was 120,000 feet. See, he did the 2 millimeter thing because it's part of the deception. That's how masterful this guy is. So everybody that left that gig and all the normies, and you can see this if you go to one of those, go to Neil's video where he says that stuff is flat. And all the globies that don't have the mental capacity or the understanding, they're ignorant of the evidence and the facts and their own science. All the normies that don't realize what he just said because they don't care what he just said, the mockery's good enough for them, walk out of there not knowing that science, the science that they're told to believe in because it's true, whether they believe it or not, just went through the most drastic change it's gone through in over 150 years. And that is, they just admitted that no human being is ever going to see curvature ever, unless you put the patch on, take the oath, and get in one of those nose cones. Right.